Oh, not yet. Okay. Welcome to PNR Show, Season 4, Episode 21, Boom Sauce.
I gotta ask before the theme song begins. I mean, are you up to the open anymore? Can you even do it?
Because I never have been. You always made me do it against my will.
I'll do it if you want.
I'm chained here in my basement, just waiting to do openings.
Well, I mean, your wife has nothing to do with this,
and hoping you'll send me the lotion in the basket.
It's a very low man that blames his wife for his.
I didn't blame my wife.
Yeah, she has you chained in the basement.
No, you do. You do. My other wife, Rob.
I'm happy to do the open from now on because I don't think you're up to it.
My happy-go-lucky, somewhat quirky opens are a trademark of this show.
Yeah. Rather have longer than life, and here's the show. Welcome to the Pine of No. I mean, if you can.
Are you up for doing the?
Yeah, music? I mean, I'm just rising to the level of the show
of mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome to the Pine of No Return show. This is a podcast where four guys get together from across the country, drink some beer, and talk some shit. Slap the label on it, Keith. Bam. Just happened.
Yeah,
So it has been a while since we have gotten together. All of us, I should say. Tonight we have been anxiously awaiting the drinking of this beer for many a week, and we are going to be doing Boom Sauce from the Lord Hobo Brewing Company, which is a New England IPA. But first, I am joined, as always, by my compatriots and fellow beer drinkers, Jeremy, Gary, and Keith. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, nice to see you didn't float away.
I did not.
Hey, Rob.
Try though I might. Hi, Keith.
Hello.
Keith is chained in the basement. He likes everyone to know that he's chained in the basement.
You know, Rob, you interrupted the show after it started, so everybody already knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know how this podcast works, but it's one take. We're not editing.
I do. Jeremy has possible topics written in middle-aged men arguing like married couples. I think that's just an ongoing theme of the show.
It's been a trademark of our show since the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if we don't have topics, we just default to that.
So since we all were together last, some of us went through a major hurricane. Still others of us had to take their children to school and go to open houses. So
yeah, that's pretty much
it all evens out.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Keith's raising a teenage daughter now. I think I'll take Harvey.
Yeah. I've done that. I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Not the Harvey thing, the teenage.
Yeah.
I haven't been through a hurricane, so I really have nothing to compare. I'll have to take your word on that.
Yeah. So I mean, I will have to say right off the bat, my Hurricane Harvey recap is very short because basically I was reined in my house for about 2 weeks. I worked from home for 2 weeks, and where I am, which is about 45 miles north of Houston, we still had a lot of rain. I don't want to make light of that. So we had a lot of rain and some flooding up in our area, but all of the serious stuff that happened, and it is and has been really, really serious down here, none of it came to us. We had about 18 inches of rain up where I live, which, again, is a lot of rain. But we never flooded here. I never even lost power at the house. So having said that, in all sincerity, one of the truly, truly lucky ones. It's been tough, if only to watch what everyone else down here is going through, or many people. We have had friends that have lost their homes. I have had a lot of coworkers that have lost everything. We've have some people that I know of that actually lost family members that passed away during the storm. So yeah, it's been very tough. I will say this, though, about the city of Houston. Well, not just Houston, but Texas, people of Southeast Texas. They are a freaking resilient people and very tough. And, you know, they were out before the storm was even over, people who were still suffering through it. And undoubtedly you all saw this on TV, but out there suffering and helping others and rebuilding, not waiting for FEMA or the government or anything else. Just to, this isn't political. I'm not trying to be political. This is anybody who's in power. It doesn't matter. Texans, they just get out there and do it. So it was a marvel to see down here. Did try to pitch in with some people's houses where I could, and trying to do some good wherever we can. But it's going to be a long process here for Harvey, and you know, a lot of people said down here it's going to be maybe 5 to 8 years before everything down here truly returns to normal. The bad stuff fell mostly to the south and east of us, when you had Harvey just basically parked over the top of us for about a week and just dumped 45, 50 inches of rain, which, you know, Houston being built on a swamp will flood if we get 2 or 3 inches of rain. So you can only imagine. Well, I don't think you have to imagine because you saw it on TV. So very, very tough. But again, I'm very thankful. I had not had the 1/100th or 1,000th of a percent the suffering that a lot of people have had to go through. So I'm very thankful for that. That's my hurricane recap.
You know what?
Wow.
That sounds like you need some beer.
Sounds like you need a beer? Yeah. That being said, of course, thoughts and prayers and everything goes out to those people in Florida and in the Caribbean that are suffering from Hurricane Irma. There was quite a bit of destruction, and it doesn't matter if it's a storm that's over you for a week or if it pushes through in a day. It's still a really destructive storm. So I saw a lot of memes and people on the internet talking about, you know, how Harvey is so much worse than Irma, and you know, the little damage that Irma's causing is diverting attention away. Well, it's just nonsense. I mean, people are suffering everywhere, so you know, just knock that crap off.
I mean, yeah, you know, you want to rank it. I mean, Harvey wasn't even a hurricane when the time it hit you. It was just
no,
a
it was
just a regular old storm.
It was a hurricane,
but it was a regular old storm, tropical storm that just sat there and dumped water after water after water, just because it got pinned in. It just got stuck there, and because of that, it probably did more damage than Irma did. But you know, well, it's not about comparing my hurricane's better than your hurricane. You know?
Well, when it went ashore in Corpus Christi, it was a Category 3, but the outer bands, those big circulating bands, were over us. So we never got the hurricane force winds that you see pulling roofs off of houses and just decimating things. It was just mainly a rain event for our area.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you go to places like Corpus Christi and LaPorte and cities like that are down along the coast, and man, those places are just freaking wiped out. There's nothing there.
And you know, Rochester had to put it in Rochester terms. So you know, we looked at it and it was 40 inches of rainfall, and our weathermen were all saying, well, okay, let's equate that to snow. That's roughly the equivalent of getting 10 feet of snow in a week. So yeah, we kind of understood once that happened. We went, oh shit.
That's the stat that
I don't think the rest of the country understood that what little rain was that was happening down there.
Yeah, the stat that we kept getting down here would be, it was the equivalent of the water flowing over Niagara Falls nonstop 24/7 for a month. That's how much water was dumped on Houston alone.
That's a lot of water.
So
that's a lot of water.
Anyway, but we need to drink up a little bit because we're doing okay, and we hope that you're doing okay. And
we got rain in Petaluma. You know,
yeah,
and some lightning,
Bad wildfires too out west, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of part of the scenery.
It's really quite common this time of year. Although it looked, I mean, Montana, my God, this looked horrible.
The Northwest is really, California's got some, but the Oregon, Washington, Montana, those states are getting just.
Yeah. All right, so let's do some drinking. Lord Hobo Brewing, we've got a New England style IPA for us. Do we know anything? We haven't done anything from this brewing company before, right?
That's a
No.
great name. No,
It is an awesome name.
No, this is one from the stuff I sent out, and it was a last-minute add-in that quickly kind of became the jewel, just mostly because we haven't, all four of us, been together in so long. And this is one of the few I just wanted us to all experience together because it was brand new to me, too. Just started being distributed down in New York now, so I doubt it's getting anywhere much out of the Northeast yet. It's a New England company, great name. They only seem to brew one pale ale and 4 different IPAs. That's their whole collection. This should be a 7.8% IPA. They do have a session. They have a 6.5. They have a 9.5 double, and then they have a pale ale. Right. That's all they got.
Yeah.
So this is a New England brew house that specializes in New England IPAs, and that's pretty much all they do.
Yeah, and to Keith's point, behind the scenes, I think we've scheduled this beer 4 times now.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and have had to postpone it each time because life has happened.
Yeah.
So
hurricanes.
But we will not be deterred. Eventually, that beer will get drank, and that time is tonight. So, gentlemen, I toast to you, and we lift a glass and drink some boom sauce. So, prost.
I want to try their other beers.
Can I have another?
Yeah.
I can tell already the boys are going to love this beer because there is Hop City.
Oh,
it's
man.
interesting. The nose is got both a pine kind of hop and a pineapple fruit to it, which both comes through in the flavor too. It's very pine sappy and pineapple sweet at the same time.
Yeah,
that's unique, I think.
I get a lot of grapefruit and tropical. Man,
yeah, I'm getting a lot of grapefruit, but I get the pineapple that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's also got
I wouldn't have pulled that out.
It's got a weird little hit of something at the end.
Yeah, I'm attributing that to pine sap.
It does stick with you for sure.
Wow. Nice malty middle to it. Nice richness.
Oh, so yeah, they got some good looking beers here.
Yeah, we may have to send some more out from this company.
So initial impression from the Hoppy Boys, I'm going to start calling them the Hop Boys, the Hop Brothers, the Hop Triplets, is good. Obviously, this is not going to be a go-to beer for me, but I can see what they're going for, and I appreciate beers that I don't particularly like. Unlike the Hop Triplets, I can appreciate that. So we'll.
I don't like.
I'm sorry.
So I've had IPAs that I don't like.
Yeah, I don't think.
Not very often.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to, say, a lager, which I don't know.
That's not really.
You've never met
beer, though.
You haven't really met a lager that you want to trash. See, right there, it's not even really a beer. So right there, you start off
lagers that he likes. We found a couple lagers that Gary likes.
A couple. Out of how many have we done?
And he found a couple IPAs he doesn't. So I mean, what do you want from the man? He's got a wide range there.
Very balanced.
Really? Okay.
Fair and balanced. He's the Fox News of beer.
Fair. Oh, okay. You know what? I'll let him. I'll give that one to him. That's fine. Good enough. That's fine. Yep. All right. Take that for what it's worth, folks.
That's like one of the worst insults ever.
I wondered if you were going to let that stand.
So we'll hear the 9s and 10s from the guys at the end of the podcast, and we'll check in and see how the beer's going. But first, we've got some topics for you in a little segment we like to call Pine Taken, and there's no music, so I won't.
No sound effects tonight. Sorry.
Nothing.
I can just make a noise if you want.
Thank you, first of all, to Gary, who quickly put up some topics for us to discuss. And this is actually one I did want to talk about. Perhaps you've heard recently of the war between Disney and Netflix over Disney's properties, Marvel and Star Wars. they've kind of had some bad blood in between them, and the word was that Disney was going to start its own streaming service and pull its titles from Netflix. Well, that has become official. In late 2019, Disney's going to have their own streaming service, and they will pull their Star Wars and Marvel movie properties, in addition to everything else, over to their service, which, I mean, the world is going streaming. So I can't say as I blame them for wanting to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
As if they needed a piece of the pie. As if they needed a bigger piece of the pie, but I get it.
To me, this isn't really that big of a deal to Netflix, because Netflix strategy for a while has clearly been originals, right? And the Marvel Netflix originals of Iron Fist and Daredevil and those are going to stay on Netflix, because those, I guess they get in perpetuity. At least that's what I heard.
Well, at least those contracts go farther than 2019. So yeah.
Well, Netflix was the production studio for those. So.
Correct. But that is still a contracted property. It will run out eventually. It's not a
right. They won't be able to make new ones, but they can keep the old ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Netflix service.
Yes.
Right? Or I guess I should say
yes, they own those. Yes.
Yeah. So, but their original content is where Netflix is going, and they have so many originals coming out all the time that they learned a long time ago that they can't play the game of relying on licensing content from other studios to retain subscribers, which is why they started making originals. So I don't think Disney moving off of Netflix at the end of their already agreed upon contract is that big of a deal for Netflix. I think it's a bigger deal for traditional cable and satellite, because there's a lot of stuff that's on the Disney channels that is Star Wars and Marvel properties that you can only get there. And when you have an option to not get it there, and if you have kids that are into that stuff or adults that are into it, then all of a sudden you don't need a cable subscription. It's like, I see it being more of a threat to traditional television than I do.
Well, I have a counterpoint to that for sure, because
part
of the no, that's true, but part of what is great about cord cutting is the cost savings that goes along with it, and the way the cost savings has been working is you've got one or two providers that have a wide variety of stuff, and what the trend is now is that everybody's going to do their own streaming, and everybody's going to charge $10 a month. And if you want to do this now, then you're back into paying hundreds of dollars a month to get your streaming channels that you want, because you've got to subscribe to 10 different services. And that seems to be, Netflix saw the writing on the wall a long time ago on this, which is why they started doing their own original content to make Netflix a destination for Netflix properties, which makes sense. But I still don't want to see them lose all the other properties. I don't want to have a subscription to Netflix and Amazon Prime and CBS and Disney. I don't want to do that. That's back to me paying way too much for my entertainment prices.
I actually, it is, and I think that is an issue. But I think what it allows you to do is the freedom to choose the things that you really want, and to actually go month to month on things. So, there's like Hulu is a good example. I should have canceled my Hulu subscription at the end of the season last spring, because we've hardly watched Hulu at all summer, and I was paying whatever, I don't know, $10 or $15 a month for that, and I could have saved myself. Let's just say it was 3 months, $45 that I could have used to pay for another service for those months. So having this pay as you go actually allows you to turn things on and off. So if you're a huge Game of Thrones fans and you don't want to pay for HBO all the time, sign up when Game of Thrones is on and turn it off when Game of Thrones is over. You don't have to keep the subscriptions. So over the course of the year, you could actually end up paying a net of about the same if you really picked and choose carefully.
And if you don't need to watch everything as soon as it's on, you can subscribe to a service for a few months, binge watch what you want, switch to a new one. I think that's a really viable model.
Yeah, we've talked about on this show before. There is so much great content out there that you could literally watch shows that are, 3, 4, 5 years old. Great shows that you never had the chance to
yeah.
before. And
there's
then
no doubt about that. I'm not arguing the breadth of streaming stuff, and more of it coming out there all the time is certainly a good thing. What I'm kind of upset about is the death of the one service all you can eat type model.
Yeah, but as the market share of people who stream versus people who have cable and satellite, as the market share for streaming increases, everybody's going to want their share. So Disney's not going to sit there and say, I'm not going to be satisfied with your little licensing fee to have my stuff on Netflix. I want my own money.
I prefaced my whole argument with that. Netflix had seen that on the wall 2 years ago.
But that's the key. That's the entire crux of the matter.
I understand it, but as a consumer, I lament the fact that I can't have everything on one or maybe two services.
Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, well, I think you can if you're careful. I mean, right now, I actually, as we were talking, I had Stars that we wanted to watch a show that was on Stars, and we were watching it. So as we were talking, I canceled that subscription, so I'm not paying that $9 a month for Stars anymore. But so as of now, I have 3 subscriptions that I pay for: Netflix, what's the other one? Hulu and HBO. So of all 3 of those, they all have their place. Like I said, Hulu I could already do away with. So that's 3. So I'm not paying that much per month for those things.
No, you're not. But in
Hulu,
2 years, you're going to add Disney to that.
I might not, and I may drop HBO, right?
Well, my real concern, which is actually cutting to the heart of the matter, is I do have a special place in my heart for Netflix being the first, and my real fear is that Disney coming out will mean I will drop my Netflix subscription.
Yeah,
and that may be what happens, because there's a lot of stuff my family wants to watch on Disney related stuff.
So is their business model moving forward then going to be one where they're like their old way of trying to bring you in by offering you this different content from these different places, or offering you enough original content that you say, hey, I'm getting some of the old stuff, but I'm getting great new shows? Is that going to be enough to keep them going? Because for a while, the Netflix was the king of the hill. I mean, they are the Mac Daddy of the streaming, and now Hulu is catching up, and Amazon is catching up, and soon Disney will make a huge splash with all of its content. That'll be a huge selling point for parents with young children.
But not just that. I mean, Disney has so much.
Oh,
stuff.
Of course, yeah, of course.
I mean, you could run ESPN Live through that.
All of their ABC properties,
all of the ABC properties. Yeah. A whole ton of stuff goes with Disney.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like a built-in Netflix offering right off the bat.
My complaint about the cable service that I used to have, or the satellite service that I used to have, it wasn't necessarily the cost. So I believed I was paying too much, but I was paying too much for what I was getting. I wasn't getting the content that I really wanted. And
yes.
And so by canceling it and subscribing to channels that I really want, it's the same amount of money, or actually it's a little bit less.
Right. Their pricing,
it's a lot more quality.
Their pricing models were never based on what you truly liked to watch.
Right.
It's their old system of, we're going to give you these 15, 20 channels that you like to watch all the time, but we're going to backload you with news from Korea and cricket matches from India that you're paying 15 or 20 cents a day for each channel, and we're just going to give you hundreds and hundreds of these things that you're paying a quarter each, and eventually that gets you up to almost $200 a month for stuff that you never watch.
And it was also the other fees, like the DVR fees, and I can't watch it on different devices and all of those kinds of things, right?
Yep.
Well, with Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and I'm assuming that Disney will be the same way, I can pick up my iPad and watch it there. I can watch it on my phone. I can watch it on my TV via a Roku or a Fire Stick or an Apple TV. Yep. So, and in a lot of cases, I can download it to my phone and watch it on a plane while I'm traveling.
Well, the other part of this too, don't forget that yes, Disney is going to launch their own service with their own properties. But the other side to that coin is Disney has almost unlimited resources to pay for these other networks, these other services, to bring them over to its streaming services. They may start pulling away networks that were broadcasting on Hulu and Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah, well, and I can definitely see things like Sony Entertainment definitely signing a deal with Disney to be in their package and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's not
Hulu
just
will be the
Disney and
interesting
Marvel.
You know what's interesting, though, kind of as a tangent, have you guys been paying attention to what Amazon has been doing kind of almost without any marketing, wherein they have now started offering a lot of these streaming channels as an add-on to the Amazon subscription. So you can get your
where I had
Cinemax,
my stars.
Yes, we have Showtime through Hulu and through Amazon.
Yeah, and you can get your HBO that way. You can get a bunch of British stuff that way, and some of it is very, very cheap. There's like British TV channels out there, or collections of streaming material that's like $3 a month. It's super cheap stuff, and it's just all in through Amazon. So they're kind of backdooring best of both worlds without telling anyone. Which is
I don't mind paying the money for things that I believe I'm getting the value for.
Yeah.
And so far, with the streaming services I have, I feel like I'm getting the value for the money that I'm paying. I never felt that with DirecTV.
Right. Yeah. Well, now DirecTV is trying to catch up with their DirecTV Now service. I'm not advocating it, but I know quite a few people now, friends of ours, that are starting that are starting to cord cut. That rather than just go cold turkey and pick up these other apps, they're going over to DirecTV Now, which is a streaming service that you don't need the satellite for to still get some of their live channels. I'm not saying that that's an alternative for me. I'm not doing it. But, I mean, they're trying as best they can to try to scrape that market by. And Hulu is countering with the Hulu Live that we actually have picked up, and that, by the way, Hulu Live needs a lot of work, but it does have the offering of having some live.
I hear it works really well when you're not under a hurricane.
Not so much. Doesn't work very well when you're not under a hurricane either. But
so what's interesting about streaming services? I just learned this. I don't know where I heard it, but HBO actually, when they were launching their initial streaming service, they were trying to build the infrastructure themselves.
Yes.
And they had a really hard time doing it. And they actually, and I think other companies as well, they're using what has become a spin-off of Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
So Major League Baseball built their infrastructure, and it's really good.
Yes.
Yeah. And now HBO is essentially riding on top of it. So there's a separate company that Major League Baseball owns I think a majority share in.
Yep.
But their whole purpose is streaming services.
Yep. Yeah, no, and they've picked up a lot of stuff. They're backdooring a lot of interesting things, including I think Amazon Prime.
I would have assumed it would have been some kind of porn outlet, but it was actually Major League Baseball.
But HBO, I should say, HBO was hamstrung a little bit by its traditional providers, DirecTV, Comcast. Some of those places where HBO was a staple really gave HBO a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Because it was one of their main outlets for HBO.
Well, this was more the technology of how to do streaming and make sure that the streams for a show like Game of Thrones actually work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Speaking of Amazon, I wanted to add this as a quick topic number 2 from the same web page on TechCrunch. Amazon is looking for a second headquarters in the United States that is to be a full equal to their Seattle location. Mm-hmm. I mean, I did not realize this. They employ over 380,000 people around the world.
That's a lot.
And they're looking to do a duplicate of their full capacity site, which right now employs 40,000 people in Seattle, 8.1 million square feet, 33 buildings which include 24 restaurants. Now, their new headquarters, they want to employ $50,000 people and do $5 billion in investment. So, how many town and city councils and mayors are now making beelines to Seattle and lining up on Amazon's doorstep to present themselves as the next headquarters for Amazon?
I think this goes to the governor level.
Probably so. You're right. You're absolutely right. What would make a good any thoughts about what city would make a good location for a new Amazon headquarters?
I'm thinking not Houston, Miami, or Tampa.
Weather-related issues aside.
There was a brief rumor floating around Rochester that it was going to be Rochester.
Really?
Yeah, which I think was just someone just started it. I don't think there's near enough people to support that here. That
I don't know.
It would cause such a ridiculous influx of housing and stuff. It would just
there's so much empty office space and commercial property available in Rochester. They could have whatever they wanted for a song.
Not so much, because most of it's been bought by the University of Rochester.
Yeah,
gutted.
I mean, if you're going for empty spaces, Detroit's got a lot of vacancies.
Detroit actually has the population to support it too. That's probably a really great pick.
Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh. Does it have to be? Does it have to be? No, thanks, no. Does it have to be a major city?
Racist.
What?
Yeah, because they got to have enough infrastructure.
I think it's got to have infrastructure and population to support it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to instantly make it. Wherever you put it, it's going to instantly make it a major city all of a sudden, and you can't do that. You can't do that though. I mean, you can't make that kind of catastrophic change. So
and you have to be able to attract that kind of talent. You're not going to attract people to Detroit.
I think you are. I think Detroit's got a great up and coming. They've been rebuilding for a while. They've got a lot of really interesting hipster downtown places and stuff happening there. Real estate is super cheap, and all of a sudden you bring real interest and population downtown to go with that stuff. It's ready. Ready for it.
But Detroit is going to attract artists and people who want to live somewhere cheaply and to be able to do their own thing. It's not going to attract a lot of people in technology that can go anywhere else and make
artists still need money. So it attracts a lot of people who are doing art on the side.
Well, the other thing is Michigan does have, a pretty prestigious university there. So they would have a pretty easy influx of talent. Okay.
I hear Flint's pretty cheap these days.
I think it's not going to be a top 10 city in population. I think they're going to go perhaps like a second tier city, like maybe a Charlotte or a Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would be a good one revitalized. Yeah.
Well,
Pittsburgh's not
also somewhere.
I mean, it really is the same type of thing. So I don't know what your racist predications are.
I'm gonna kind of dismiss that.
But Pittsburgh would be a similar thing, or Philly, and also good choices.
With power though,
like maybe a Columbus.
They got to have where energy costs are not that high.
Well, that would be Texas.
Texas there's also places like Raleigh, which already has
exactly. That's
infrastructure.
Raleigh, Charlotte, very much so. Yeah.
I can definitely see
Amazon already has some data centers there.
Yeah.
I can definitely see a coast city like that happening over in interior city as well.
I gotta believe it's gonna be east part of the United States, like maybe eastern half,
like Nashville, Memphis.
Yeah, that could be. It's not going to be California.
It won't be California. It'll be like a Atlantic coast or like a East Midwest area. I think.
I could see a Midwest city though. Something that's easy to get to.
As far as
city, something like that.
As far as shipping product, centrally located, makes sense.
Yeah, I do agree with you. That's not going to be probably in a Florida, Probably not in a Texas, not Houston, because Houston's a coastal city, and probably not on a coast actually.
And they're not looking for warehouse space. They're looking for somewhere
Office space
to put their
it won't
developers
be, and it won't be New York. I
marketing
agree. New York is just far too expensive. New York
What
City.
would be
I'm saying.
really interesting though would be New Jersey, because there's a
The
lot
entire
of
state
people that commute into New York from New Jersey, so they could pull that talent that's going into the Manhattan area into a big New Jersey development.
Problem is,
Yeah,
New Jersey, there's not a lot of room.
Yeah, we don't
got to pay
get
off
them
the
off.
mob.
It'll be interesting. I'm trying to see when they're looking at making their decision. Doesn't really say.
I'm sure Trump is
Starting
going
the
to tell
search.
them exactly where to put it, and that's where it'll be.
So?
So I'm sure Trump is going to tell them exactly where to put it, and that's where it'll be.
Right. Well,
You know,
you
'cause
could
him and
be more
Bezos
right
are
than
such
you
good
know.
friends.
interestingly enough, for each dollar that Amazon invested, the city of Seattle generated $1.40. So it's a huge moneymaker for Seattle.
Yeah, taxes. I mean, well, not just the taxes they get from Amazon itself, but like income taxes from employees,
All the subsidiary industries.
Yeah, I mean utilities, service industry stuff.
Just think of the coffee shops. I mean, hell, you can make 40 cents on the dollar just in coffee shops.
No kidding.
Well, I mean, they're going to be our #1 supplier of food too now that they've got the Whole Foods deal done, and that's crazy. Okay, so moving along, before we get to our picks for the week, Gary did want to talk about the Equifax thing. So, what are you thinking, Gary?
Actually, Jeremy mentioned that first, and I seconded that.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
Jeremy did get a talk when he did the whole entertainment stuff, because that's not Jeremy's.
Anybody here impacted by Equifax? I believe that I am. Gary says yes.
Yeah.
I probably am. I haven't gone to look because the reports are the site that was supposedly telling you that was just, you could put random information in and it would tell you were affected.
Yeah. They're trying to get you to
Jeremy's
sign up for some kind of. They're trying to get you to sign up for some kind of protection, and there's a rumor that it removes your ability to file a class action lawsuit.
Right. So I haven't.
If you went to their site, it was like a multi-step process. The first stage was check to see if you've been affected. If you were affected, then you could enroll. So you could just cancel out after you checked. So I checked and it said I was part of the people affected. My daughter checked and it said she was not.
Yeah, my wife checked. She was not. My check came back that I may be affected.
No, well, yeah, that's what they say. They say maybe. They never say definitely. They say maybe. So yes, you were.
So that's good times.
Yep. The whole thing with information that can be stolen as a means of securing important financial stuff is going away. It's going to move to
no data is truly ever safe. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, fingerprint, facial recognition, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot harder to hack that than it is.
Well, right now it is. Yes, right now it is.
They'll figure it out.
Hey, I'm ready to be chipped.
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue.
No, I'm serious. I have been for years.
Jeremy, are you back?
Give me an implant. I'm ready.
I think I'm back. Yeah, that was really patchy for a while.
You are back.
I want to hear your thoughts on Equifax.
Yeah, you mentioned Equifax first, Jeremy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal, and it's serious enough that it might be something that puts them out of business.
It definitely will.
There's a site where you can automatically fill out the forms to sue them in small claims court, which you probably will win because they have misused your information. And it's going to be something that affects a lot of people for years and years down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
There's actually a really good, if you go to Reddit personal finance forum, there's a thread at the top that is basically the steps, what you should do right now to protect yourself. And that's probably the best resource I've found so far about what to do, all at a link to the show notes.
Was it like join something like a LifeLock or?
Oh God, no! Don't ever use LifeLock.
No.
No, it's
been
basically
hacked.
put a watch on your credit, so that if there's anything weird, the agencies will have to contact you before. Well, I'll add a link to the show notes. It's best to read it for yourself. That's better than I can explain it.
I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV.
Good thinking. Speaking of good thinking, it's time to tell you what we've been thinking about this week in our half pint segments. It's time for our picks. And then after our picks, we'll give you a review of this shitty beer. No, I'm kidding. So our half pints is where we pick something that's been picking our fancy this particular week. Technology, TV shows, music, movies, anything that strikes our fancy, we're going to bring it to you. Jeremy wants to go retro and talk about the last great iPhone.
The last great iPhone. Let me see if I can get a better connection here real quick.
Are you connecting on an iPhone 6?
Yeah. So my pick for the week is the iPhone 5 SE, which is, I think, the last great iPhone. It's still a reasonable size that you can actually hold in your hand or put in your pocket. It doesn't have technology that doesn't matter, like face recognition. And it's simple and easy to use and fast, and that's all I want from a smartphone.
Now, wait a minute.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with facial recognition. It's cool, but do you really want, when you're sitting in a meeting and you need to check something on your phone, do you want to go like this to unlock your phone so everybody knows what you're doing, or do you just want to hold it down subtly under the table and push your thumb on it and unlock it with Touch ID?
You say that, but
should be.
Everybody in the world now has their phone in front of them like this. So it's really not that much of a difference to do that to unlock your phone.
Not in a 2-hour planning meeting when you're bored to death.
Well, then
you're
it's just
missing
gonna...
the point.
I am. I'm usually missing the point. That's
The
what I
whole
do.
point is that you get an Apple Watch so that you don't have to look at your phone.
And then you look at your watch.
Where's
You
the
just subtly
implant?
put-
Where's the neural implant? I mean,
Who
come
the
on,
hell
Apple.
lifts their whole wrist up like this to look at their watch?
No, but I mean,
I've
just
never
like
done
glance-
that.
No, when you have to have your watch look at your face to unlock your phone.
No, you don't need that. It's connected to your phone.
That's awesome. I kind of love that.
What time is it? Siri, what time is it? See that happening.
Actually, pretty soon I'm on a phone and I'll just be like this all day.
You know,
Like this?
Facebook. Have you guys noticed on Facebook you can do like these 360 pano things? I've seen as part of Photo Challenge, they did a photo challenge a couple weeks ago where they had that where you're supposed to do a 360 pano, and the way that the Facebook app orients what you're looking at in front of you. So like as you're walking, you look straight in front unless you're looking at your phone. But normally if you're walking, you look straight out, right? So that's how you would take the photos, like straight in front of you and then around. But when you hold your phone at the normal angle for viewing, which is not straight like that, it's at an angle like that, that's the default view for those panos. So if you hold your phone up, it actually rotates it up a little bit. So they've actually corrected for how people hold their phones in those panos.
Huh.
So I think that the facial recognition will do the same thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's like
I don't think you have to hold your phone up to get facial recognition to work.
No, it's counting your nose hairs.
Yeah, yeah. I
Do
think,
not trim your nose hairs.
Yeah.
Well, you can trim them, just don't pluck them.
Yeah.
You don't want to remove any. Then you're a different person.
Look, just going from my personal experience, Keith gives me no end of grief on any number of topics, but one that he used to give me a lot of grief about was the fact
I don't know
that
what you're talking about.
yeah. One of them was the fact that
It goes both ways, my friend.
no. One of them was the fact that
no, the whole opener of the show was you giving me grief.
that's just fun.
But no, it doesn't go both ways.
One of them, if I could get this out, one of them.
Now at this point.
Jesus Christ, shut up. One of them was the fact that I didn't have my phone with me all the time. So like when we were doing the old show, I wouldn't see his texts or like, are you ready to do the show? Or, he sent me a link and I didn't see it till later. I left my phone. But that paradigm or that mindset for me has shifted. So now I do carry. I have my phone literally everywhere. Have been for years. Keith, shut up. I'm trying to give you support. I'm trying to tell you you're right.
Oh, well, don't bury the lead then.
I carry my phone with me everywhere I go, and so does everybody else. So this whole thing of holding your phone up to open your phone is not that big of a difference. Not that big a deal.
I agree with you totally. Although you're only going to get that with the $1,000 iPhone anyway, so it's really
thanks.
a moot point.
No thanks. I'll wait for the iPhone XXX.
Sure, it's on the $1,000 iPhone now, but that feature is going to make its way into every future iPhone.
I'm more interested in the wireless charging that they finally got.
That is the only practical thing in the entire presentation was wireless charging.
It's not wireless. Can you still charge via the Lightning port?
Yes.
Okay. Because otherwise, I mean, that's just selling you an expensive accessory, which is good business, But I mean,
welcome to the 21st century. It's all about selling excessive.
Until the iPhone,
the Palm Trio had wireless charging, didn't it? I mean, and you had to buy an extra puck for it.
The last
1996.
The last version of the Palm Trio had wireless charging.
Yeah, it did. And my toothbrushes had it for 10 freaking years. So shut up, Apple.
So what are the chances that the next iPhone, which is it going to be a 9 or is it going to be an 11, since there's an 8 and a 10? So the next iPhone,
why are we skipping a number, by the way?
10th anniversary.
So is the next iPhone going to have 0 ports on it?
There was never a Windows 9 either. There's a conspiracy against the number 9.
Why? What?
Windows never had a number 9 either.
That's true. Why is that?
Straight from 8 to 10.
Why?
It's a
I
conspiracy.
heard a reason for that, and it was a really interesting and sort of valid reason that made sense if you looked at it in a certain way, and I cannot remember it.
Is it? Wow, I think it had something to do with language.
If you type in Google,
9 is an unlucky number.
If you type into Google "why no," the first thing that comes up is "why no Windows 9."
Yeah. I think it has to do with a cultural or a language thing.
All right,
it has to do with number 9, but I'm not sure about that.
No, it's.
I'm getting why no iPhone 9. Why not both? Why not me lyrics?
It was I maybe I don't know whatever. I think it had to do with they already had 95 and 98, and they didn't want
to sound like it was the 90s.
Yeah, something like I don't know. Whatever. We don't care. It's Windows. Who cares about Windows?
All right, so
Microsoft doesn't do anything interesting anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of not caring, Gary, what's your pick?
Let's see. Gary doesn't care.
What's your pick for the week?
No, Jeremy asked me a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, why don't you care?
Oh, my pick was going to be your mustache. Not anymore.
Completely off the rails. Okay.
Wow. That's awesome.
Completely off the rails. I don't have a pick, but I'm going to put a link that Jeremy provided in our Slack channel as my pick. I went to Starbucks today, which I don't do very often, but I figured since I'm going to be drinking beer and have to put up with the 3 of you, I needed some more caffeine.
Wow. This is going to be a very antagonistic episode.
It is. This is the old married couple is suddenly an old married orgy.
Polyamorous old married quartet.
That's exactly it.
So I went to Starbucks. I got a coffee, and it's fall now, right? Since it's now not after Labor Day, it's fall.
Sure.
Anyway, it is for me. Well, you know how we know it's fall is because at Starbucks they have their pumpkin scones again.
Oh no, pumpkin.
So I like the pumpkin scones.
Oh, okay.
So I got a pumpkin scone and my cup of coffee. I get Jeremy no comments on the coffee. It's better than what I have.
Flavored with real pumpkins?
Probably not. So anyway, I got back to my desk and I opened my scone bag because I didn't open. I just got it to go and sat down, and the thing was smaller than Jeremy's iPhone 5 SE. And
wow.
I'm looking at this scone going, I just paid almost $3 for this scone. That is freaking ridiculous. I can't believe I spent that much money on a little piece of shit scone that's going to last me like a whole of about 3.5 seconds. And And for whatever reason, I started thinking about the hurricanes, and that's when I put on Slack that, hey Rob, do you have any local links?
Yes, I was going to reply to them. Sorry, I didn't get.
That's okay. Jeremy did for you, as is normal.
Holy crap, dude! Jesus, are you on your period or something?
It's the boom sauce. I'm sorry.
It's not Jesus Christ.
Sorry. So anyway,
by the way, did you notice that he issued a complaint through his pick and slammed Jeremy's pick in the same sentence? God,
sorry,
damn, dude.
Keith, I guess you're safe this week.
Woohoo!
So I'm going to post that link that Jeremy provided, which is a link of local places to donate for Harvey relief. Because I thought that if I can spend that much on a crappy little scone, that I should at least be able to spend that much on helping some people that actually need my money, which Starbucks clearly does not. So that's my pick, is to go out and help people, either Harvey or Irma, that actually need your $3.80 that you would have spent on a scone.
Okay, awesome. My response, by the way, to that post, I was going to type it in, but I forgot. But Mercury One is a great site to donate to. They do 100% of their of the donations to go to the charity that they're working towards. They do fundraisers other parts of the year to pay for their administrative costs. So whenever they are raising funds for a disaster or something like that, it's always 100%. So that's where I try to donate my stuff to.
Okay.
Keith, pick for the week.
Hello. Before I do my pick, I'd like to insult Rob unnecessarily, just for the hell of it.
Ready?
No, actually, I want to do a follow-up to my last pick, real quick, which was a few weeks ago. I talked about I Buy Direct.
Yes, your glasses.
And I'm since then, both my wife and my oldest daughter each tried to order some glasses from there, and they just came in today, and they both love them. The prescriptions were spot on that they got done, and so I Buy Direct nailed it 2 more times since then. So it's not just a one-time deal at the Seifert House anyway. It is definitely our eyeglass vendor of choice now. So anyway, but I wanted to do last time, and Jeremy wasn't here, so I held off on it. Jeremy, you remember the Pebble smartwatch we both got on Kickstarter so many years ago?
Yep.
You gave up on yours pretty quickly. You had some technical problems, I think, if I remember right, and just bailed on it altogether.
I did.
I wore mine religiously, daily, and used it until about a month ago, when it finally gave up the ghost and would not charge anymore. It just completely died on me. So I went out to try to find a new wearable, and I was thinking about it, and I said, well, what do I use my Pebble for? And really, it was 99% just pure notifications. Get the notifications off my phone onto my wrist, so I don't have to pull my phone out of my pocket for every little thing. That's mostly what I used it for. So I went out and found a smartwatch that does just that and does it really well. And what I'm holding up here, right here, if you can see through the reflections of the Apple screen over there, is the Martian Notifier. Now, Martian smartwatches have been around for a while, but they're pretty under-advertised. You don't really know about them unless you go digging for them. But they make a series of smartwatches, all of them fairly expensive, except for this Notifier series, which was always fairly cheap, and they seem to be closing it out now. So I picked this up on Amazon, a Martian Notifier in black here, I think for about $29.
Wow.
Which you really can't beat for a Timex, let alone any kind of smartwatch. And what it does is it really just purely displays notifications on it. And I'll try to show you what it does here. You see there's a little strip at the bottom there, and it just scrolls through items there as they come up on my watch. If you guys send a Slack notification, it'll pop up here, and you can see it scroll by. But it's really just a simple thing. And you can clear there it goes. See, there it is. They're coming in now. And it just literally scrolls by on that screen, reads you what was said. So you get your emails that way. Great.
There's Keith's belly.
There's my belly. Hold on. Let's fix that real quick. But Yeah, it's pretty simple, but you can clear the messages here. When you press clear on this, it clears them off the phone too. So the nice thing is that it does work two-way. But it's simple. It's just an elegant little watch face with a little scroller on the bottom that tells me my messages. And for $30, you cannot just beat it. It's a great Pebble replacement. I don't need it to do, my health tracking and all that other crap that an Apple Watch does. I just need it to tell me what my phone is telling me and see if I need to actually pull my phone out or not. Cool. And if you're looking for that, this is a great alternative on a stylish analog watch that just also happens to connect to your smartphone. So, and you can filter on the app too that comes for it. There's a Martian app. I don't know if you can see in the corner there of my iPhone 5S. The best iPhone ever made. But you can filter which alerts you want to see on your watch or not. You can turn certain things off, so you only get the most important things on your watch, or you can leave most of them on, like I do, so that you use that as your filter whether or not to pull the phone out. So. Cool. Really great piece of wearable hardware. I recommend it. Can't recommend it enough.
Cool. I would like to recommend to you a TV show that I just started getting exposed to. A lot of trending Twitter and internet information is talking about the latest Rick and Morty episode, which I've heard about Rick and Morty for the longest time and never really gave it much thought. But just so many people were talking about this subterfuge and internal plots and hidden mushrooms and Easter eggs and stuff. So I'm like, all right. So I went and I watched the pilot episode on Hulu, and holy crap, it's funny. And it's really good. And you could tell it's really made by geeks for geeks. So I will be beginning to start. There are 3 seasons in now. So I will begin to my Rick and Morty adventure, and I'm looking forward to it.
You can commune with Arabelle, who's recently discovered Rick and Morty. So my teenage daughter, it's all the rage in the high school now.
Oh, I bet. Maybe I'll be able to carry on more conversations with my niece and nephew.
Yeah, you might.
And the other one I want to recommend to you really quick is an app that just came out yesterday on iOS and Android. It's a very popular, what they call micro game in the board game community, which are short, quick, easy to learn, but have a little bit of depth to them, board games. And it's called 8-Minute Empire. And 8-Minute Empire is a conquest strategy game, but is very, very simple. You have some armies that you're controlling, obviously, and some goods that you're moving from one state to another. But it supports asynchronous play and live play, and you can learn it in 5 minutes, no problem. And it's really super easy, and the games can last 8 minutes, as the title says, maybe a little longer if you're playing asynchronously. But give it a try. Brand new on iOS. It's $4.99. So when you're evaluating how good or how much you want to spend, keep that in mind. But I am enjoying it so far. 8-Minute Empire. All right. So guys, we need to rank these. We need to give the beers grade here. So go ahead and do your 9s and 10s.
9. This is awesome. I really like unfiltered beers to begin with.
Yeah.
This is it's amazing. Super bitter just all the way through from front to back. The only thing I would change, I would add a little more pine flavor if I could, but I'm just being really picky there. This is awesome. Amazing beer.
Okay. So a 9 from Jeremy. Gary.
I'm tempted to give it an 8 just because, just to spite Rob.
I knew it.
It's one of those kind of days.
Say that.
It's just one of those days,
I know. What the hell happened to you?
I have no idea. But this says drink fresh. It was canned on May 31st, so we're drinking it a few months late, which is not entirely fresh for a fresh tasting IPA. But this is really good. So I'm assuming that had I had this on tap or super fresh, it would certainly be a 9. So I'll give it a 9, even though I was going to give it an 8, just to spare Rob. So
Keith.
This is everything I love in an IPA. It's bright and bold and bitter, but it's got that rich malty middle. It's got a little sweetness. I like a little sweetness in my IPAs, not to be all bitter. And that pineapple, wherever it comes from, is a welcome addition. I find it thirst quenching and delicious, and yet satisfying as well. And it's got to be a 9. It's got to be a 9.
This for me is going to be one of those beers where I tell you that I don't like it. I can't stand it. It's not ever one that I would choose to drink. Having said that, I appreciate what it's trying to do, and what it does very well. The hops, I think, blend really well with that middle maltiness that Keith's talking about. And has a nice finish, and all over what you're looking for if IPAs are your thing. They're not my thing. I won't have it again, but I will also give it a 9.
Wow.
Damn.
I kind of miss the old reviews that Rob used to
I know. This just ranked higher than Pliny the Elder because
if it's
Rob
a shitty beer, I'll give it. Well, Pliny the Elder is a shitty beer. This is not a shitty beer.
See, the thing is, it's. I think we need an IPA that's way over the top, and we can really get.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
Get Rob's hateful reviews back.
Rob needs the apocalypse.
Oh, that would do it.
We've had it.
Yeah, that would do it.
We've had it.
I like the black.
Yeah,
I like the black.
Yeah, the black.
Let's get the black again, because just so that I can get you guys to send it around again. Because
clearly, since I've already been labeled a racist, I don't like the black.
That's right.
Clearly.
Way to bring it around, Rob.
Oh man.
Well done.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to bring it to a close of season 4, episode 21 of the Pint of No Return show. Gentlemen, any final thoughts?
No hard feelings, Rob.
No.
Drink,
all right.
Drink more boom sauce.
Drink more beer. Just beer in general is fine. But if you choose to drink some boon sauce, do it safely and stay away from hurricanes. They're bad news. See ya.
You have to sing.
Music.